Hi there, Bill DeWeese from voice-over-training.org. Hope you're doing well. It's a beautiful Saturday here in the Chicagoland area, and my family and I just got back from an outing to the Lincoln Park Zoo. And if you ever come to the Chicago area, check it out. It's a great zoo, and the cool thing about it, it's actually in the city. So it's like you can be standing in the zoo and look up, and there's the Hancock and the tall apartment buildings and the condos, and the lake is on one side. It's absolutely gorgeous. It was my grandson's first visit to the zoo. He's just turned 1 year old not long ago, so he was more interested in eating crackers and in drinking juice than seeing the animals. But we had a great time. Well, today's this blog post is entitled Cold Calling 123, because cold calling, I think, is one of the most feared and possibly one of the most misunderstood components of a successful marketing strategy. And make no mistake, if you want to build your voiceover business, it will be extremely difficult and will certainly slow your progress. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it will slow your progress if you do not make cold calls or figure out some way to introduce yourself to new prospects. You can certainly do that through email, and I do that through email quite a bit, but having a cold calling component where you actually make a personal connection over the telephone with somebody is a very powerful thing. And I just want to take these few minutes on this blog post to tell you, to suggest how you should go about doing that in a way that hopefully will alleviate the fear for you and also demystify the experience. And I have an extensive background in cold calling and in sales, and actually put myself through college, at least in part, by selling books door to door during the summer. Talk about a hard gig. I've never done anything that has beat that. I figure if I could do that, I could do anything. Also, working in radio for 25 years, most of that as a program director and as a radio personality, but also sold radio as well. And in addition, was a top producing sales rep for a business consulting firm in Chicago, and also worked as a vice president for an instructional design firm in which part of my responsibility was sales and marketing. So I'm not, I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not just making up stuff and throwing it out there. This is stuff that is tried and proven in the field, and you can apply this to your voiceover business to accelerate your business. Let me give you the 1, 2, 3 of cold calling. First of all, is your attitude. If you have the right attitude going in, you project the right attitude, it can really make the difference between whether the call is difficult or whether you find the person on the other end to be very cooperative and making it actually being a very positive experience. Not just in making you feel good because they weren't angry with you, but ultimately, hopefully, so that you can cultivate them as a client and eventually get some business and cultivate an ongoing relationship with them. The attitude that I like to project, and which it's a genuine attitude, is simply, I am calling to get help. I need their help. And I also know, and this is not the attitude that I project, but I know that they need what I have to offer as well. Because I'm calling production companies, audio production companies, video production companies, companies that need voice-over talent. So they may not need me right then, and they may not need me next week or even next month, but there will come a time where they may very well need my help. So we're not talking about a handout. We're talking about a mutually beneficial exchange of service for monetary compensation. But my attitude is, I'm calling because I need your help. I'm not trying to sell them anything. I'm not trying to impress them with who I am. I'm doing nothing but calling for help. And the way that I typically do that is when somebody answers the telephone, I'll introduce myself. Hi, my name's Bill DeWeese. I'm a voice talent. And I was hoping that maybe you could help me out. So I let them know right up front, I'm not sure who to talk to or what to do. Maybe you can help me. I was hoping you could point me in the right direction. And maybe I could talk to your creative director or the person who would be responsible for working with voice talent. That's how I open my dialogue on a cold call. And with very, very rare exception, as a matter of fact, I'm trying to think of a time that somebody wasn't helpful. They are almost always very willing and to help me out and will point me in the right direction. Oftentimes, it is the person that picks up the telephone. So number one, attitude. You're calling for help. Number two, you want to make sure that you talk to the right person, which I just alluded to, and that's Again, asking to talk to, I usually say the creative director, because creative director typically is the job title of the person you'll want to talk to, or, as I'll add to that, or whoever's responsible for working with voiceover talent. And it could be a production director, who knows? It really doesn't matter. You just want to talk to that person or get in touch with them. So oftentimes here are the choices. They will either direct you to that person, or oftentimes they'll say, I do that, I can help you, or I'd be glad to get that information to the right person. Or they might say, we're not accepting voiceover demos from talent right now. And by the way, the next thing I would ask is, I just simply want to find out whether you're accepting voiceover demos from voice talent right now. So I'm calling. I was hoping you could help me. I like to talk to the person in charge of working with voiceover talent, number one. Number two, are you accepting, once you get the right person, are you accepting voiceover demos from voice talent? If they say no, say, do you mind if I contact you again in several months and just see what the status is? And I've never had anybody say no. But typically they will say, we'd be glad to take a listen to your demo or put it on file. And at that point, I typically will say, they'll say, can you send it to us? And I'll say, I'd be glad to send you a link to my website. It's got my demos on it, my credits, some television commercials. The demos are downloadable. And it's that simple. That is the exchange. I mean, it takes all of 30 to 60 seconds. And then I like to end the conversation by saying, is it okay if I follow up with you in a few months just to stay in touch? And again, usually they will say yes. We're more than glad to hear from you and to stay in touch. And if you take that approach, again, cold calling 1, 2, 3, 1, have the right attitude. You're calling for help, not to sell them. That's your end game, is to simply get their help in finding who to get in touch with, and hopefully, have them agree to accept your voiceover demo submission. Number 2, get the right person, get their email. And number 3, ask for permission to follow up. It's really that simple. Then you get off the telephone. You don't hang around. You don't try to become their best friend. Once you've made the sale, in this case, the sale is getting them to agree to receive your voiceover demo. You thank them politely, ask for permission to follow up in a few months, and then you say goodbye. And then you follow up with by sending an email with your demo. If it sounds overly simplified, then it really is. I mean, it's a simple process, and I don't want to make it any more complicated than it is. That's exactly how I do it, and I rarely ever am turned away. And I've never had a negative experience. Everybody's always been very kind and helpful. Again, you're not trying to, sell ice cubes to Eskimos. You're not trying to sell something people don't need. You are selling something that is a needed service within this industry. So it's really in their best interest to hear you out and to at least receive your demo and take a listen to it. So again, hopefully that takes some of the fear and demystifies the experience. And the best thing to do is just pick up the telephone and start doing it right now, because the more you do it, the more confident you'll become. And again, it will help to accelerate your voiceover business. Hey, I wish you all the best. If you have any comments, questions, please feel free to drop me an email. Love to hear from you at voiceoverexpert@gmail.com. And for more content to help you build your voiceover business, make sure you visit voice-over-training.org. Take care.